Please be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to this hybrid webcasted meeting of Council at 2 p.m. on Wednesday the 14th of December 2022. Can I please remind you all to switch your phones to silent for the duration of the meeting. Please turn your microphones to mute unless you are speaking, both in the chamber and remotely. If in the chamber, please use the microphone in front of you when speaking. Should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate either via the chat function or by raising your electronic hand via Teams? Or if present in the chamber, please raise your hand. If accessing the meeting remotely, please only use the chat function to indicate you wish to speak. I assume that you have all read the paperwork before us today prior to the start of the meeting. Please note we are using this meeting to trial simultaneous Welsh translation. You are urged to wear your headset if participating remotely. Thank you for your patience with the technology, and if there are any questions or issues throughout, I would ask that you raise them in the chat and we will endeavour to rectify them as quickly as possible. And I thank our translators Neath and Lynwen for their patience and attendance today. When speaking, please introduce yourself. One other announcement I have to make today is the Mayor's Christmas concert, which is charity concert, which is on Sunday, the 18th of December at 4 p.m. And I would like to urge you all to attend. Or if not, if you would like to make a donation via the NPT website and you go on to the Mayor's page then. All right. When speaking, please introduce her. I am Robert Wood, Mayor. I would just like to invite the Deputy Leader to speak a few words in order for us to trial the translation.
Prynawn da bylchus ffair. Fi'n flin bod fi ddim gyda chi prynhawn yma oherwydd anhwylder, ond gobeithio bod pawb yn gallu clywed.
No. Is everybody okay with that? Thank you, Deputy Leader. I will now invite Councillor Spooner to say a few words.
Diolch, Mr Mair. Mae fe'n bleser i croesawu'r cyfieithu ar y pryd yn ein cyfarfodydd ni unwaith eto. A hefyd, hoffen annog dysgwyr a unrhyw un sydd ddim yn mor hyderus yn siarad Gymraeg i ymuno ni yn y Gymraeg pryd maen nhw'n teimlo'n gyfforddus. Diolch.
Thank you, Councillor Spooner. Do we have any other contributions? Councillor Sean Percy.
Diolch Cadeirydd a ffrinon da pawb. Mae'n gwych i weld tîm cyfieithiaid yn ôl siambr eto heddiw. Dwi wedi bod yn dysgu Cymraeg ers dechrau'r eleni. Felly mae'n bwysig i fi ymarfer. A nawr dwi'n gallu yn y gwaith hefyd. Dwi'n edrych ymlaen mwy siarad Cymraeg yn y cyfarfodydd yn y dyfodol. Diolch.
Thank you for that, Councillor Percy. Well done. Okay, moving on to agenda item 2, which is members' interests. Are there any interests to declare? Please indicate by raising your hand via Teams, or if present in the chamber, please raise your hand and when called, state details. The Democratic Services Officer will forward a declaration of interest form to you to complete and return to the officer.
I can see no declarations, Mr Mayor.
Thank you for that, Stacey. Agenda item 3 is public question time. I can confirm that we have received no notifications to speak at today's meeting. Agenda item 4, multi-location meeting policy. I call upon Councillor Saif Rahman, Chair of the Democratic Services Committee, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me a great pleasure today to present this multi-location meeting policy to Council. The Democratic Services Committee has considered the policy in detail and feel it is hugely important given the way the Council now conduct its meeting in a new hybrid world. All our meetings are recorded or webcast, and now more than ever before, the democratic process of the Council and the work of members and officers are in the public eye. The policy sets clear guidance around standards of behavior and how members and officers must prepare for and participate in multi-location meetings and confirm the manner in which these meetings are to take place. The adherence to this policy will ensure the professional reputation of the Council and the soundness of the decision we take are maintained. Members can see the detail of the policy in the papers today, and I commend the same to Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Members, are there any questions or comments? Please raise your hand or indicate via the chat function, and I will call upon you in turn. I can see a hand there from Councillor Matthew Crowley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would also endorse this policy for the council. The most important aspect of this for me is, as you all know, I've championed this hybrid technology for some time, and thank God it's here to stay. But the most important factor of all for me is that now the general public can view exactly what happens in these council chambers, whereas time before us, we have just been an enigma to the general public. So I welcome this policy wholeheartedly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any other members who would like to comment on this item? I now refer the Council to the recommendations on page 6 of the circulated report. Could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Mr. Mayor, it's Councillor Saifur Rahman. I propose.
Thank
Mr.
you. And
Mayor.
a seconder?
I'll second, Mr. Mayor. Nathan John.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who wishes to abstain from the vote? Please raise your hand. Council, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, it will be assumed that you are in favour of the recommendations.
Mr. Mayor, I can see no indications to the contrary, so that recommendation has been approved.
Thank you very much, Stacey. Agenda item 5 is changes to the committee and outside body membership. I call upon Craig Griffiths, Head of Legal and Democratic Services, to introduce the report.
Diolch, Mr. Mayor. As members will see, two sections we just need to bring to your attention for some potential changes. We've been notified of some potential changes within the Labour group to some of our council committees, which are set out on page 25 of your papers today. And also, as well, is a proposal to nominate Councillor Martin Peters as the council representative to the Neath Talbot Port Authority. But happy to answer any questions members may have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, Craig. Members, are there any questions or comments? Please raise your hand or indicate via the chat function, and I will call upon you in turn. I now refer the Council. Are there any hands? No. I now refer the Council to the recommendation on page 26 of the circulated report. Could I please have a proposer and a seconder?
Happy to propose this recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Leader.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Is there anyone who wishes to abstain from the vote? Please raise your hand. Council, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, it will be assumed that you are in favour of the recommendations.
I can see no indications to the contrary, Mr. Mayor. That recommendation has been approved.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. Agenda item 6, Council Tax Reduction Scheme 2023 to 2024. I call upon Cabinet Member of Finance, Performance and Social Justice, Councillor Simon Noyle, to introduce the report.
Diolch, Mr. Mayor. The report in front of us today sets out the proposed council tax reduction scheme that needs to be adopted formally by the 31st of January 2023. We can also see proposals relating to discretionary areas within the scheme. It is based on the Welsh Government national framework, which helps to avoid a postcode lottery and can provide up to 100% support. The scheme currently provides council tax support to approximately 16,000 households in Neath Talbot. Around 11,000 pay no council tax at all, and approximately 5,000 households receive partial support. The current scheme ends on the 31st of March 2023, and we need to adopt a new scheme for the 1st of April 2023. The scheme aims to provide support to households within Neath Talbot and to those that need it most, especially during this period of our cost of living crisis. The recommendations are on page 34 and 35 of your papers today, and when the time is right, I'll be happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that, Cabinet Member. Members, are there any questions or comments? Please raise your hand or indicate via the chat function, and I will call upon you in turn. I see no indications. I now refer Council to the recommendations on pages 34 and 35 of the circulated report. Could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
You.
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
You. Is there anyone who wishes to abstain from the vote? Please raise your hand. Council, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, it will be assumed that you are in favour of the recommendations.
I can see no indications to the contrary, Mr. Mayor. That recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Stacey. Agenda item 7. Notice of motion under section 10 of part 4, Rules of Procedure. I have received no motions for today's meeting. Agenda item 8. Questions from members with notice under Rule 9.2 of Council's Procedure Rules. I have received no questions for today's meeting. Agenda item 9. Urgent items. I have no urgent items. That ends the business for today's meeting. Thank you all for attending. May I take this opportunity to wish you and your families a safe, healthy and Merry Christmas, and look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thank you very much. Safe journey home.
Diolch yn fawr, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you.
Diolch
Merry
yn
Christmas.
fawr. Nadolig llawer.